Alright fellas, for the first time since 1999, we are about to enter an undisputed heavyweight championship fight week. The impossible, which no one thought was ever going to happen, is now only a short wait away. So in leading up, I thought I'd provide you with everything you need to know in the lead up to this massive bout. Going over the history of the bout, the fighters themselves, the card, and any other little bit of information I think you need to be prepared for the big fight. I might also weigh in at the end on who I think will take home all the belts, but let's get right into it. So this is the fight that no one thought was ever going to happen. Well, as of a couple years ago, Fury apparently retired. There was no hope. The fight now is important because this is the first time since Holyfield and Lewis that we have an undisputed championship on the line. And undisputed means that all major belts are up for grabs. The negotiations for a large heavyweight undisputed fight over the years have occurred, but have always failed. And leading up to this potential fight between Usyk and Fury, it seemed like we would never see the day where they would eventually face off. Issues mainly surrounding money has plagued any sort of bout from ever occurring. I guess when you have two major heavyweight names in the modern day, they want insane money, and that has been hard to find. Yet finally, along came the Saudis as a part of a promotion in Riyadh season, which has finally put this fight together. As I assume most of you know, this fight was meant to happen in February, yet because of a cut Fury suffered over his right eye, it was cancelled. And I think many people were skeptical in the first place if this fight would even happen, and this cancellation seemed to put the final nail in the coffin. But it wasn't the final nail in the coffin. You might have heard of the term His Excellency a few times. This is referring to Turki Al-Sheikh, who is a Saudi advisor who headed this revolution within boxing, staging the largest events in Saudi. He stepped in again and renegotiated the fight, and it was back on. And for this time, it seemed for real, with terms being set that if Fury pulls out, Usyk gets whoever he wants, and if Usyk pulls out, Fury would have to fight Joshua. And that brings us to where we are today, with the fight only a short wait away. Now looking at both fighters in their last few fights, for Fury, the belt he brings to the table is his WBC heavyweight title. He's had this belt since 2020 when he won it in the rematch with Deontay Wilder. Since that match, he went on to defeat Deontay Wilder again and defeat Chisora and Dillian White. And of course, his last fight against Francis Ngannou, and we all know how that went. For Usyk, he picked up the IBF, IBO, WBA and WBO championship belts against Anthony Joshua in 2021. Since then, he has defeated Joshua again in a rematch and then defeated top-rated prospect Daniel Dubois. I won't go too heavy into their styles, but of course, Fury's advantages come through his size and reach, his remarkable movement, particularly his agility for someone his size, his elusiveness to punches, and his switch hitting. While Usyk has incredible technical skill, footwork, balance, his movement is unreal. His speed is remarkable, he has top ring IQ, and additionally, boxes in the tricky southpaw stance. In short, Fury's style is more unpredictable and versatile, relying on his size, reach, and adaptability, while Usyk, he's a textbook technician, relying on his footwork, angles, and volume punching. A hugely interesting thing to note going into this fight is that after coming in at I think his career heaviest against Ngannou, Fury looks to be in the best shape he's been in recent years, while Usyk, he seems to be coming in pretty heavy, so you have a heavy Usyk against a way lighter Fury. This has of course been recorded before the weigh-ins, but it's just interesting food for thought. Now let's talk about the card itself. To the casual fan, this card doesn't look that hype, and let me tell you, they're kinda right. But there are some really good fights on this card, and I want to point out the ones for you to keep an eye on. The opening fight of the card is with David Nakia versus Michael Seitz. I think this is a surprising one to watch. David is a rising boxer who is incredibly entertaining. A solid amateur background combined with entertaining walkouts and an interesting frame and style all have the hallmarks of a bit of entertainment. The next one I'll be tuning in for is Sergey Kovalev's fight. Now Kovalev has been around for quite a while. He's best known for his fights against Canelo, Andre Ward, and Anthony Yarde, with this being his first fight in a couple years. It'll be nice to see him have another run out, but it might be his last at 41, so it's definitely worth a watch. Now the co-main is probably the best fight other than the main event itself, Jai Opetaia's rematch with Breeders. Cruiserweight is a very rarely talked about division, and these are two of the biggest stars, with Opetaia even making the bottom half of some people's pound for pound lists. In their last bout a couple years ago, Opetaia won a decision against Briedis in a match where his jaw was broken in the second round by an uppercut, and he still managed to take home the IBF belt. Since then, Opetaia vacated that belt to stay active, and is now fighting for it once again in the rematch against Briedis. Briedis is a name you might have heard of because of just really unfortunate reasons. He was the boxer who got the Jake Paul tattoo in an attempt to get him to fight him, but that fight never materialized, and now he's just stuck with a bad Jake Paul tattoo. But don't let that make you tune out of this fight, because Briedis is class as a former Usyk opponent, and I expect fireworks from this bout. Just to help you all out, as the fight's in Saudi and it might be at a weird time for you, I'll put some start times for the card on screen now in your local areas so you don't have to go for a panic Google at some stage in the next few days. But now, I just want to quickly weigh in with how I think the fight will go. This to me is one of the harder fights to pick, and to be honest, I don't think I can really choose one or the other. It's such an interesting fight because of their vastly different styles and bodies. I think if Fury comes in light with the idea he's going to technically outbox Usyk, he's going to have a long night. Yet, I think if you have a focused Fury who's aggressive and moves forwards, he will have many roads to victory. I see this as a very close, cagey sort of fight, in which I think there'll be some really big moments, but I reckon it will go to a decision and I wouldn't be surprised for it to go either way. No matter what the result is though, I think really we're going to see a rematch. Unless one of them gets brutally knocked out in the first or second round and retires, a rematch is on the cards. But then, after this rematch, the true winner probably rolling into an Anthony Joshua matchup, with him sitting ringside for this fight, just in case I guess things go pear-shaped for one of them and the rematch is now out of the question. I want to hear what you guys think though, how you see the fight playing out, what have you thought of the build-up so far, and just any thoughts in general. But just quickly, if you've never heard of me, my name is Cloister and I make boxing and fight-related content, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would really appreciate if you consider subscribing or liking. But anyways, thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.